another vlog, I talk about how I wanted to keep everything very simple in the script because I was going to have to direct it myself, and therefore there could be nothing fancy, because as a first-time director it would be challenge enough just to get all the basics of what you need in a one-day shoot. However, there is one part of the way it's shot which is a bit unusual or possibly interesting. And this is the point at which we cross the line. So what is crossing the line? Okay, if I have two people talking to each other and the camera is where you are, okay, blah, 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 we might cut this way, we might cut that way, okay, so it might do this. What doesn't happen is the camera coming all the way around this side and coming from the other direction. And the main reason for that, okay, if you suddenly cut from this side to this side, is that the people will be on the opposite side. So the person on the left will now be on the right, and the person on the right will now be on the left. So that's often a kind of seen as a rookie error, to make that mistake of crossing the line by accident. But of course, crossing the line is done lots and lots of times by more accomplished directors to create a particular effect. Now, I didn't start off with wanting to do that on this, but when the director of photography, Josh, was taking a look at the script, one of the things he said was, we won't push the sofa up against the wall. That's where most people have their sofa, close to the wall, and in my house that's where it was. He said, because I can't do much with the light. You've just got a flat wall behind you. I can't put lights behind the characters, behind the actors, to get the right kind of effects. So what we'll do is we'll have the sofa basically in the middle of the room, and he said to me, you'll be surprised how natural that looks, even though no one ever has the sofa in the middle of the room. Okay, so I went with that. And then I also noticed something else, which was that as we have in our house a sofa that doesn't have a back to it, so it's just a flat surface, if we do go around the other side, okay, it could get kind of interesting. So Josh had said, well, we could, if we move the sofa out, do what's called I think it's called a French over, where put the camera behind the sofa, okay, so the camera is coming over people's shoulder to catch the scene, which is often used for more sort of intimate conspiratorial scenes where we're just peering into a conversation maybe we shouldn't be privy to. So that wasn't particularly what we were doing here, okay? But what I did think was that actually, if we could do the second half of the film from the other direction, it would make it feel different. So in the first half, Jake is on the left and Anastasia is on the right. And in the second half, it's the other way around. She's on the left, he's on the right. And of course, the background behind them has also changed. Okay, so it's the other end of the room. Our living room looks pretty similar from both angles, but it is slightly different. It's not exactly the same view. So why do that? Well, the idea was partly just to get a sense that something had changed in their relationship, in that situation, after he's disappeared. Okay. Now, what I didn't do was jump from one side to the other. So shoot from one side and then cut, shoot from the other. What happens is that he looks around the room after the relationship has disappeared. Okay. And as he starts to look, the camera moves. One of the few times, I think it's the only time in the whole film that the camera moves, it starts to move with him around the side and then picks him up on the other side. Okay, so that we see that transition from one side to the other. We feel that moment of, ooh, something's different. Okay, and then she makes a line in the dialogue that says, oh, things feel different. Now, one thing that was commented on by a couple of people on the day and who've seen it since is that it feels creepy and adds a creepiness note to the film. And I think that's entirely because you're switching that perspective. You're turning things the wrong way round, okay, for a moment. And then after a while, we get used to seeing it from this particular side. And what I talk about in another vlog is how that process was only complete. I only got 3/4 of what I wanted. I think it's fine, but I think there's a lesson there to learn about the practical side of that I hadn't seen.